शुक्लांबरधरं विष्णुं शशिवर्णं चतुर्भुजं प्रसन्नवदनं ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये। सरस्वती नमस्तुभ्यं वरदे कामरूपिणी विद्यारम्भं करिष्यामि सिद्धिर्भवतु मे सदा। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परं ब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। येनाक्षरसमाम्नायम् अधिगम्य महेश्वरात् कृत्स्नं व्याकरणं प्रोक्तं तस्मै पाणिनये नमः। वाक्यकारं वररुचिं भाष्यकारं पतञ्जलिं पाणिनिं सूत्रकारं च प्रणतोऽस्मि मुनित्रयम्। वागर्थाविव सम्पृक्तौ वागर्थप्रतिपत्तये जगतः पितरौ वन्दे पार्वती परमेश्वरौ। In the last class we were looking at the Samskrita alphabets, how they have been categorized based on the effort we make to produce the sounds. Like I said already, there is no one particular script for Samskritam. In fact, our overall tradition, if you see, it's an oral tradition. That's why we still have all our literature. In fact, we have so much literature that we cannot complete it even in one discipline. I am saying any discipline you take, traditional discipline of knowledge, you cannot complete in one lifetime all the literature which is available. So many manuscripts are there still. But even if manuscripts are not there, people have just memorized and passed it down the generations. Okay, so it's an oral tradition, and that's why everything is defined, and the sounds, and even how to preserve the exact sound and the chanting and all that. Also, there is a particular way in the Vedas. If you see, that's why it is like a tape recorder which has never lost its fidelity for thousands of years. That's the beauty of our tradition. So there is no single script or anything. Different people wrote it in different scripts, provided that they are able to account for all the sounds. Okay. So now currently the most popular script is the Devanagari for Samskritam. So that's why we are studying it along with the Devanagari script. Although I am planning to also give the IAST, the Roman equivalent of that, so that script need not be a constraint for learning the language. Okay, but script also you should learn. Now let us again see, there is one more table where all the details are given, correct? What kind of effort you have to make. So the sthanani, it is written on the left, places where you have to make the effort, correct? Kantaha, talu, murdha, dantaha, oshtau, and the varnaha, the types of sounds are there on the columns. So alpa pranaha means, I already told you, you do not give extra air or breath. It's normal aspiration or less aspiration. Ka, as we saw here for the kantha. So kachata ta pa, like that. These are all alpa prana. But mahaprana, you have to make an effort. Okay. Kha, cha, tha, tha, pa, like that. Then the softer consonants. Okay, the hard consonants are called in Sanskritam as kathora. You can say kathora, alpa prana, or kathora, mahaprana. Then these soft ones are called mridu, you can say, softer. Or in fact, there is another terminology also is there technically, aghosha and saghosha. Okay. In fact, the softer ones are called saghosha because if you keep your hand when you are saying soft consonants like ga, ja, da, da, ba, you will see a certain vibration will be there. For the hard ones, it won't vibrate like that. Ka, cha, ta, ta, pa. There's no vibration of your vocal cords. But ga, ja, da, da, ba means you can feel it. So the softer ones are actually called saghosha. Okay. And there also you have Mahaprana, Gha, Jha, Dha, Dha, Bha. And then the nasal. So the nasal, the effort should be exactly like how you make for Ka or Ga. But instead of that, instead of sending the air through the mouth, you have to send it through the nose. So Nga, Nya, Na, Na, Ma. So again the tongue also, particularly the Murdha, correct? The Murdhanyaha, you have to roll your tongue. Don't forget that. Otherwise, you won't get the correct sound. Rolling the tongue is important. Sometimes it may take a little bit of more effort, but you have to do that. So, consciously pronouncing the Samskrita aksharas properly itself is a discipline. Okay, it will give you certain felicity of your mind, I think. So, focus on that, particularly those who are learning some chanting. Samskrita chanting, don't take it lightly. You put in the correct effort and then chant it properly, you will enjoy it really. Then we have the semi vowels and sibilants also. Sh, sh, sa. Okay, yara, lava is simple. Then the vowels are there. So all these things we saw already. And then the kantha means is A is A plus E is A, correct? And A plus E is I. In this case, the effort starts from the throat and ends up in the talu. That's why they are called kantha talu. And similarly, O is A plus U, so it is O. Means again here the effort starts from the throat and ends on in the lips. And A plus O is Au, correct? Au. And they are called kantoshtam. And then the aha also is there. About that we will discuss. And va is also called dantoshta because to say va, both danta and the teeth and the lips are involved for va. Of course, in some places in India there is vabhayor abedaha is there. Means va becomes ba in some states in India. That is a local thing. But even those who do that, you make when you are reading Samskritam, please make an effort to differentiate va and ba. Okay. You should not touch your teeth. Sorry, touch your lips. Va means the lips are not really touching. It goes very near. Then it will be va always. But if you touch your lips, it will always be ba only. Correct? So you can't produce a different sound if you don't make the right effort. So always the effort is important. Another thing also here they have given what level of contact. See, the contact is very important. Okay, and how much you are opening. Correct? So you can see here this samvritaha, vivritaha and all is there, and ishat vivritaha. So samvritaha means what? It is all closed or it is touching actually. And vivritaha means there is no touching, it's all open. And ishat vivritaha means you are slightly opening it. Okay. So the contact and ishat samvritaha also is there in some cases. Slight contact, small opening, all these four types are there also. So combining all these things only you produce the right sound. So producing the right sound is very important for Samskrita chanting and even for the language itself because the slight changes will make the meaning very different. Okay, so be careful about that. Okay, now when we are actually writing, here I told you it is along with an akara, correct? Ka, kha and all that. But if you want to only write the consonant, we put a dash below, correct? That is called halantaha. Halanta means consonant by itself. Again, the hal is coming from something called a Maheshwarani Sutrani. Maybe one day we will see that also. It is a very, very amazing thing. So, hal in general means all the consonants according to the Maheshwara Sutrani. Okay. So, halantaha is ik and it. All that if you want to write, if you want to indicate the consonant by itself without any vowel, then you have to put a dash at the bottom like that, and then the sentence ending there is a danda, that is like the full stop in English. So Ramaha gachati means it's a sentence. If it is over, then you put a danda. That is just, these are all some of the conventions which we use while writing. Okay, some more things. The short vowel is called hrasvaha. Hrasva means short, and dirghaha. Okay, dirgha, again the ghakara is mahaprana. Dirghaha means long vowel. So we have a, I, u. All these things are r, l. These are the short vowels, correct? Then we have a, I, u. Then r. There is no l. L is only short always. Okay. And then we have a, I, o, au. All these things are also dirghaha. One more classification is there. This is purely Paninian classification. But this also we are introducing you here, hopefully, because in future we may also teach you the Paninian grammar, which is a wonder in itself. Okay, how anybody could even visualize something like that is mind-boggling to us when we think about it now. We can at least read and appreciate the genius there. Anyway, so here, in fact, the first Paninian sutra is Vriddhiradaich, Vriddhihi. So the Panini sutras start with the word vriddhihi. Vriddhihi means growth or something which is big. Correct? That is supposed to be a Mangala Vachi also. It is Mangala Charanam also in one way for the sutra. So this A, I, Au are called vriddhihi. Then Adeng Gunaha, like that, there is a sutra is there where it defines A, and O as Guna. Guna is a technical term or a jargon in grammar. The word guna actually means many things. Understand that. In fact, people are generally confused with the word guna, even many scholars, because guna is always thought about as a quality by people, which is correct in one way, because that in that meaning only mostly it is used. The guna word is used in the meaning of a quality or a qualification, but that is only maybe the general use, or in, if you want to take it darshana wise, only the Nayayikas and the Vaisheshikas define guna as a quality. But if you take the Sankhya darshana, they also talk about three gunas, correct? Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. The Prakriti is made up of three gunas. That is not really a quality. It is actually a constituent there. Okay, the guna can also mean constituent, particularly if you are talking about the three gunas. And of course, in grammar, guna means a, o. Understand that. And vriddhi means a, I, and au. So these are all technical terms, like I said. And why are we defining this? Because the genius of Panini is that Panini defines a meta language to describe the natural language. Understand that. So that is why it is one of the first examples of an artificial language which is created to describe something like a computer language. So nowadays we have computer languages, correct? They have their own syntax. They may use the English words, but then what it means within that language is different, correct? That is what is called a meta language or an artificial language, but that can be used for the purpose of doing something, okay, or even describing a natural language. That's what Panini has done. That's why it is appreciated so much. It's mind-boggling. So anyway, here, as I showed you here, these are all some of the categorizations. Okay. Further, okay, this is just showing you how do we write all kinds of consonants with the associated vowel. Of course, these things you have to practice it yourself, and it may take you some. Though for those who do not know the script, Devanagari script, this may look little bit overwhelming. But anyway, I leave it to you. You can practice it. It may take you a couple of months to get a hang of it, but I will still encourage all of you to learn Devanagari because it will be useful, because a lot of printing still happens only in this. Although in the net you have the facility to go and change from any script to any script, or even like there are sites like sanskritdocuments.org, I think they give you in multiple scripts any Samskrita text. So that need not be a constraint to start with, but still you can learn the Devanagari. So here ka, ki, ku, kr, kl, kai, kau, then ka, ki, ku, kr, ke, ko, all these things are given, how these things are written, etc. So you have to practice it for each and every consonant then. So you will get a hang of that. Then little bit about this r, r and l. Okay, these three are somewhat unique to Samskritam, and r only can be used independently as a vowel in this, like rishi, he, rishi we say, correct? The rishi word is actually r. It is not ri really. It is r. It is not ri. It is neither rishi nor rushi. Some people say rishi or rushi. It's actually rishi, r. And r can be used. Rinam also, correct? Rinam means debt. We talk about the rinam that we have. In fact, everybody is really a debtor. Why? Because we have debt towards our ancestors, towards our parents, because they only gave birth to us and took care of us. If our ancestors were not there, we cannot be here. So we always have a debt towards our ancestors. Then we have a debt towards our devatas, we say, correct? Because unless they function correctly, all the natural processes and the phenomenon, if they do not function correctly, if there is no rain, if there is too much rain, if there is no heat, or if there is too much heat, etc., anything, all these things can be a problem. So we look upon the entire natural phenomenon as being a manifestation of the different devatas. So we also have a debt towards them always. Then we have debt towards other human beings, correct? Nobody is an island. We have to live depending on others, not only human beings, even animals. But in all these things, one more important debt is the Rishi Rina, we say. So Rishi Rina is both R, okay? So the debt towards our rishis, because they are the ones who formulated all the disciplines of knowledge which we have, and also they made sure that it is still available to us today, correct? That is the greatness. So the Rishi Rina, how do we pay back the Rishi Rina? Means by learning only. There is no other way. Every day you have to learn. So that's why we say Swadhyaya Pravachanabhyam na pramaditavyam. Like that, there is a Vedic mandate is there. Every day you have to learn. And once you have learned, teach also. Teaching, there is nothing better than teaching. If you want to learn and have clarity, teach. So learning and teaching should go all the way, and every day you have to spend some time for that. Then you are paying back the Rishi Rina also. That can be paid back only by learning stuff. Anyway, coming back to Samskritam, the R can be used independently, but R and L are never used independently. They always come along with a consonant. And r itself is used only with few consonants like tr, tr, dr, like that. I have given here, correct? Ta, ta, da, dha, or nr. Nr means naraha and all comes from nr only. Human being is called nr. Then shri, sri, all these things are there. And l is only used with kakara. So this clip or kalpana and all comes from kl only, clip dhatu. So this is something just I wanted to point out. These vowels are not used very often, or they are used only with a few consonants. Then anuswara and visarga are again sounds which do not have one sound alone. Understand that. Their sound varies depending on what is preceding and what follows. Both are there. Okay. For example, if you take the anuswara, if it is followed by like shakara, let us say, then normally we say amshuhu. Some people also read it as anshuhu, depending on again they both are correct. Both ways you can do that, because depending on what is following in that place, if you give the effort, then the sound of the anuswara changes slightly, because it will become like the nasal of that place. Correct? So, or always some people use it as im only, like from the lips. That is also okay. So amshuhu or anshuhu, both you can say. And in Sandhi, again, there are rules where how it changes and all we'll see later. Then the Visarga, again, depends on what is preceding and what follows also. So Ramaha, here if you take, when it is preceded by Akara, it is Aha. But if it is preceded by Akara, Aha. Okay, Ramaha. Then if it is preceded by E, Harihi, correct? It will become He, Harihi. Not Hariha, it is Harihi. Similarly, if it is preceded by I, Ramaihi, it will become Ramaihi, Harihi. Similarly, Harehe. So if it is preceded by A, it becomes Harehe. Then if it is preceded by Au or U, it becomes Uhu. So Guruhu, Gauhu. So like this, the Visarga, depending on the vowel which is preceding it, has a different sound. And also it has different sounds based on how the Sandhi happens with the succeeding consonant. But that we will see in the Visarga Sandhi later on. I don't want to get into it right now. But it can vary also, the how we pronounce it. Now all this Sandhi and how we pronounce the Anuswara and the Visarga is important for chanting. And generally, if you are chanting a big text or a shloka, you follow the similar rules always. Okay, you decide how you are going to chant certain sandhis, because there are optionally correct things are there. Both options may be correct, but you just choose whichever one you think is appropriate and follow it throughout. That way it is better. Okay. Okay, there is one more symbol which is called an avagraha. This also you will see both in the IAST also, it is like a capital S, and here also you can see it is an S like this. It tells you that in Sandhi the vowel has been elided or dropped. Okay, so here actually we have written Shivoham. So actually it is Shivaha Aham. So the Shivaha Aham, when it comes together, that's what we called a Sandhi. When two vowels or two consonants come together, sometimes there is a certain variation in the way it sounds, correct? Because if you quickly say two things together, it becomes different. That is in fact, most of the Sandhi rules are while pronouncing it, you will see that it actually happens naturally. Okay, it is the natural in the natural progression of sounds, how the sound modifies. That is really the sandhi. So Shivaoham is one such sandhi. It is a visarga sandhi. So when the visarga is followed by akara, then the visarga becomes o, and the akara itself is dropped. And so to tell you that akara has dropped, this avagraha is put in the lipi, but sometimes in older manuscripts it will not be there. You are supposed to understand that avagraha is there. So this is another symbol. You should be familiar with this. Okay, now just to complete, there are conjunct also. You should know how to write and read them. This can again become a big thing, but anyway, it will take some effort to understand. So here you can see ikta, so kra, kla, ksha, kya, gna, gya, gra, all these things are there. In this, only one thing, I don't want to get into all these things, and this you can go and read the book also. But some things which I want to point out is the conjuncts with the hakara here. This is the only place where they are not pronounced as it is written. Okay. So actually it is hakara and makara, correct? Ikma it is. So when you write this Brahma, correct? Gurur Brahma, Gurur Vishnu, we say, correct? Even we chant the prayer. Whenever Ikma is there, we always pronounce it as Imha. The Makara comes first, Hakara comes afterwards. Okay. That's how it is. Although we write even in English or even in Samskritam, the written form will be Brahma, but you should not read it as Brahma, it is Brahma. Similarly, Nakara and Hakara. Here also, it is not Vahni, Vanhi, it is actually. Vahni means actually, or Vanhi means fire. And similarly, Nityanhikam, Anhikam we say. Anhikam means whatever you do. Anha means day. And whatever you do daily is called Anhikam. There also it is not Ahnikam, it should be Anhikam. Like that, Nakara, Hakara, and and Makara, Hakara, like that you have to chant it or pronounce it. So here it is like, this is the only place, generally it is different than what is actually written. But otherwise, Samskrita, as I told, it has fidelity with whatever you write and however it sounds, there is no difference. So you don't have to learn spelling separately and pronouncing separately like English or French and other languages. Okay, that is one advantage you have. So rest of the consonants also you check here. And okay, now we are actually going into the structure of the Samskrita language itself. In fact, the structure of the Samskrita language is very similar to many Indian languages. Okay. In fact, in any language, the sentence is the main thing. In Sanskritam it is called Vakyam. Vakyam is a sentence, correct? Here you can see Vakyam. And Vakya is written like this. Ik-ya. This conjunct, you can see Vakyam. And Makara with a dash below. And this Vakyam is made up of Padam. Padam means a word. Okay. And many words are called Padani. The plural is Padani. So different words come together. Sometimes a sentence can even be one word, but in general, more than one word is there, and they are connected also, correct? The connection between the words only brings this meaning of the sentence to us. So how they are related also we have to understand. Okay. So words come together and make a sentence, and then how these words which make up the sentence are related to each other. Based on that, we understand the meaning. Of course, when we learn a language as a child, we don't get into all this analysis. We just pick it up. That is also good. But since most of you are learning a language now as an adult, it is better to understand how all these things work also, because this also is very good. In fact, whatever principles we talk about here in Samskrita grammar, you can apply to any most of the Indian languages. It works. In fact, you will understand your own language better. Okay. Now, here in Samskrita, there are only two types of pada. Okay. Or two types of words. One is the verb, which in the Paninian language is called Tingantam Padam. Okay. In fact, Panini Sutra is Sup Tingantam Padam. So sup and ting antam means the words are nothing but those which end with sup suffix or ting suffix. That is the meaning of that. Okay. So all the tingantam means are all the kriya pada or the verbs. Okay. The verbs are called kriya pada. Kriya means activity, action. So all the verbs are called tingantam padam because the verbal suffix starts with the first suffix, which is ti. Okay. Then all the nouns, they are all subantam padam because they start with the suffix sakara. In fact, is, that is what is called su actually. Su, au, jas and all that, and it ends with pakara. So it is subanta. So here gachati is a verb, correct? This ti is the thing, is the ti suffix. Actually, all the Samskrita words can be derived from a root and a suffix and a prefix in some cases. And how the root and the suffix, when they come together, what other things happen, and finally the word form is arrived at, is the rules which are given in the Paninian grammar. Okay. So here the gum is the dhatu. We say dhatu is the verbal root. Gum and ti only becomes gachati. Gachati means goes. Okay. It is present tense. Singular, third person, we can say. Gachati is present tense, singular, third person. So you can say Ramaha Gachati. And Ramaha is a noun, correct? Is a Subanta. And here also there is a noun stem, we call it. Noun stem means that is called Pratipadika. So you have Dhatu and Pratyaya, we say, correct? This Tingantam, they are all called Pratyaya or suffix. Pratyaya means a suffix. Similarly, Rama is the Pratipadika. Then the Sakara comes, which is the Pratyaya or suffix. Then it becomes Ramas. Ramas only becomes Ramar, it will become then, and then it will become Ramaha. Okay. So Ramaha is the final. This is also this again the Ramaha. If you take the nouns themselves, have different forms depending on how they are related to the verb. Okay, are related to each other. Nouns can be related to verbs also, and they can be related to each other. Now the beauty of the Samskrita language, or even many other Indian languages, the suffix itself brings that relationship between the verb and the noun. That is why Ramaha is always agent only. Understand that. Okay. Ramaha means the one who does some action. And in this case, if you say Ramaha Gachati, means Rama goes, correct? Now, the Gachati need not have any object of action. Okay. Because even in English grammar, we have transitive verb, intransitive verb and all that. Gachati, or you can say Ramaha Gramam Gachati, let us say. Rama goes to the village. Ramaha Gramam Gachati. Now, Gramam also comes from the Grama Shabda. But then, since that is an object of action, it has another suffix and it becomes Gramam. Understand that. Now, the beauty of Sanskritam or many other Indian languages also, or many other languages worldwide, I don't know, is that when you have the suffix itself bringing the relationship between the verb and the noun, then the position is not very important in sentence. Now, this gives a lot of freedom for poets, or even when you are writing metrically, like based on a particular meter and all that, you have the freedom to place your words in different places, because whichever way you place the words, the meaning will not change. That is the beauty, correct? So, for example, let us say Ramaha Lakshmanam Pashyati. Rama sees Lakshmana, correct? Now, here Rama is the one who is seeing, so he will always be Ramaha. Then Lakshmana is the object of sight. So he is Lakshmanam. Pashyati is the verb. Now you can put it anyway. Ramaha Lakshmanam Pashyati. Ramaha Pashyati Lakshmanam. Lakshmanam Ramaha Pashyati. Lakshmanam Pashyati Ramaha. All the permutations and combinations you can do, the meaning will never change, because the relationship is baked into the word itself, correct? Ramaha is always the agent. Lakshmanam is always the object of action, and the action itself is Pashyati, which is seeing. So Rama sees Lakshmana is the meaning always. But in English, it is not the same. Understand? English is a highly positional language also. That is why it's a pain. See, Rama sees Lakshmana. If I say Lakshmana sees Rama, then the meaning is completely opposite, correct? Or I cannot say sees Lakshmana Rama. Means we don't know who is seeing whom now, if you change it like that. So English is a difficult language that way also. Even Hindi is a problem. That's why Hindi is not a very good language to learn Sanskritam. Tamil is better. Other Indian languages are better. Because Hindi also, Ram ne Lakshman ko dekha, if I say, then you cannot, if you change it, the meaning will change. Lakshman ne Ram ko dekha means the meaning is different, correct? So Hindi is not very good to learn Sanskritam, because the Samskrita structure is such that all this what we say ne, ko and all that, are in English you have all this, correct? That I go to the village, to, in, on, from, all these different things, only those are the words which actually tell you the relationship between a noun and the verb or different nouns, etc. They are separate words by themselves, prepositions and all we say in English. That's why the order of the words is very important in some languages, because the prepositions are independent. But in Sanskritam, they are not independent. They come as suffix and become part of the word itself. So that is something. This is same in Tamil also. My mother tongue being Tamil, I can relate to Tamil, but others, there are many people here who speak Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam and all that. I think in those languages also it is similar, correct? So Raman Lakshmananai Parthan, if I say in Tamil, again this all the suffixes are baked into the word, correct? Raman is always the the agent. Lakshmananai means it is always, Lakshmana becomes always the object of action. So this will be similar in many other Indian languages. So you learn Sanskritam through the other Indian languages. It is actually easier rather than learning through English and Hindi, because English and Hindi have a different structure. This is what is called morphology. If you in linguistics, I think. I am not a linguist, but this is what is called morphology. So the structure, if you understand, it is somewhat simpler, correct? Because Once you know the form of the noun, you immediately you will understand how it is related to the verb, and the meaning also then flows from that. Okay, I hope this is clear. And in fact, that's what is given here. One more technical term here. I said dhatu and pratyaya and pratipadika and pratyaya. Of course, in general, both dhatu and pratipadika, dhatu is the verbal root, pratipadika is the noun stem. In general, they are called prakritihi, and pratyayaha is the one. The prakritihi and pratyayaha come together and finally form the pada, the word. Okay. In fact, in Tamil also, the prakriti becomes pagudi. If you know Tamil grammar, and pratyaya also, this pratyaya, another term for pratyaya in Samskritam itself is vikritihi. Prakritihi and vikritihi. Pratyaya can be called as vikriti also. They form together the pada. And vikriti in Tamil is called vigudi. So Tamil grammar, even the terminologies are borrowed from Samskritam. Pagudi and vigudi, it is called in Tamil for those who know Tamil. And so that's how you get the word. And here some examples are given, correct? Ramaha is Rama plus Sakara, which is the suffix. The Sakara suffix, the is suffix actually means an agent in singular, because only one Rama. And he is the agent or the doer of the action. Similarly, Vana. Vanam is the word, Vana is the Pratipadika, is the suffix, and it means object singular. So Ramaha Vanam Gachati is the sentence here. Again, Gachati, Gam is the dhatu, and Ti is the present tense active third person singular suffix. So Gachati, Gam plus Ti becomes Gachati. How it becomes that and all we'll see later. It's not very important right now, but I hope you get the idea here. Ramaha Vanam Gachati is the sentence. Here Ramaha is always the agent singular. Vanam is always the object singular, and Gachati is the verb, present tense verb. And again, verbs also vary depending on the number, whether singular, plural. But one more interesting thing or complication in Sanskritam is there is a dual also. Okay. So I don't know how many languages in the world have a dual number. Like Tamil doesn't have a dual. It is only having singular and plural. English also has only singular, plural. I think Hindi also has only singular, plural, I think. But Sanskritam has a dual. Both nouns also have dual forms, verbs also have dual forms. So maybe pairs are very important in the creation, correct? That's how maybe our rishis thought that dual should be their own something. Okay, that is there. In fact, in the prayer, Vagartha viva sampriktau. That sampriktau is actually a dual form. Vagarthau is dual. Again, Vagarthau iva sampriktau. Vagartha pratipattaye jagatah pitarau. Pitarau is again dual. So that prayer which Kalidasa has written, it is from Raghuvamsha actually, to Shiva and Parvati for the sake of getting the right words and their meanings, is all dual. Vagartha viva sampriktau, Vagartha pratipattaye, Jagatah pitarau vande, Parvati Parameshwarau. Parameshwarau also, that all this au, because Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha. That is how we get to know uh, the forms, the noun forms. In that Ramau is the dual case. So if two agents are there, then they will go in dual case. If more than two are there, then they will go into plural, which is Ramaha. Ramaha, Ramau, Ramaha. Like that it will come. Even this Gachati, Gachataha, it will become in plural, in dual. Gachanti in plural. So this dual also you should learn. But in usage, dual is not there very much. But anyway. Okay. So here, like I already introduced to you, Tingantam Padam means Dhatu and the Pratyaya come together. That is Tingantam Padam. Then Subantam Padam are the nouns. the nominal base or the noun stem is called pratipadikam technically. Then the pratyayaha, they are all called sup because it starts with the sakara. So subantam padam, which is the all the nouns, they are all coming by the pratipadika and the supratyayas coming together. Okay, so with this, I think we can close today's class. We'll continue this in the next class. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.